My name is Sophia Chin and I'm 32 years old. I've always been the middle child, the one who gets lost in the shuffle between my brilliant older brother and my charming younger sister. It's not that my parents didn't love me, they did in their own way. But somehow I was always the afterthought, the one whose achievements were acknowledged with a distracted, "That's nice, dear," while my siblings' accomplishments were celebrated with parties and proud social media posts. I remember the day I graduated college with honors. My parents showed up late because my brother had a job interview that morning. They missed my walk across the stage. "It's just a ceremony," my mother said later. "The important thing is you got your degree." But when my sister graduated 2 years later, with no honors, they threw her a massive party and my father gave a tearful speech about how proud he was. It wasn't just my parents. At family gatherings, my aunts and uncles would fawn over my siblings. "James is doing so well at his tech company," or "Emma is just so talented with her art." When they turned to me, the questions were always an afterthought. "And you? Still at that marketing firm?" No one remembered my promotions or the campaigns I'd led. No one asked about my dreams. For years I told myself it didn't matter. I tried to be the bigger person, to cheer for my siblings and not let the jealousy poison me. But every ignored achievement, every forgotten birthday, every time someone cut me off mid-sentence to listen to what my brother or sister had to say, it all added up. It was like tiny paper cuts on my heart, barely noticeable at first but eventually impossible to ignore. The breaking point came at my parents' anniversary dinner last year. My sister announced she was pregnant and the entire night became about her. My father ordered champagne for everyone except her. My mother couldn't stop touching Emma's still flat stomach. My brother gave a toast to the first grandchild of the next generation of Chens. I had come prepared to share my own news. I'd been secretly training for a marathon to raise money for cancer research, the disease that had taken my grandmother years ago. When I finally found a moment to mention it, my mother patted my hand. "That's sweet, honey. But maybe choose a different charity? Your sister's hormones are all over the place and we don't want to upset her with sad topics right now." That night I drove home in tears. I sat in my dark apartment and realized no one in my family had ever truly seen me. Not really. They looked past me, through me, but never at me. I was invisible. That's when I decided I was done being invisible. I was done being the good, understanding middle child who never made waves. It was time for them to see me, really see me, and recognize what they'd been ignoring all these years. But I didn't want petty revenge. I didn't want to hurt them or bring them down. I wanted to soar so high they couldn't possibly look away. I wanted to shine so bright they'd need sunglasses just to look in my direction. I had always had a passion for writing. Since I was little, I'd fill notebooks with stories and poems. In college, I'd even won a small writing contest, but of course that happened the same weekend my brother got into med school, so no one noticed. Over the years, I kept writing in secret, never sharing my work, convinced it wasn't good enough. But that night, fueled by hurt and determination, I pulled out the manuscript I'd been working on for years. A novel based loosely on my experiences growing up in an immigrant family, caught between cultures and expectations. I'd been too scared to show it to anyone, too afraid of rejection. No more fear. No more hiding. I spent the next 6 months pouring everything into that manuscript. I woke up at 5 a.m. every day to write before work. I canceled plans with friends to edit on weekends. I hired a professional editor with money I'd been saving for a vacation. I researched literary agents and crafted the perfect query letter. My family barely noticed my absence from weekly dinners. "Oh, Sophia's busy with work again," my mother would say, not even questioning why my work suddenly required so many nights and weekends. The rejections came first, lots of them. Each one stung, but I refused to give up. I revised and sent more queries. And then, on a rainy Tuesday morning, an email arrived from one of the top literary agents in New York. "I couldn't put your manuscript down. I'd love to represent you." 3 months later, my book was at the center of a bidding war between publishers. The advance was substantial, more money than I'd ever seen at once. But the money wasn't what mattered to me. What mattered was that people, important people in the literary world, thought my voice was worth hearing. The day I signed my contract, I didn't tell my family. I wanted to wait until everything was perfect. My publisher fast-tracked my book. They believed it could be a major breakthrough novel, a fresh voice in contemporary literature. They planned a marketing campaign, a book tour. They submitted it for consideration for prestigious awards. 8 months after that tear-filled night in my apartment, my novel, The Invisible Daughter, hit shelves. The reviews came in fast and enthusiastic. A stunning debut that captures the immigrant experience with heartbreaking accuracy and unexpected humor. Chin writes with the assurance of a literary veteran. It's hard to believe this is her first novel. An intimate portrayal of family dynamics that will make you laugh, cry, and call your siblings, either to thank them or confront them. And then the biggest surprise of all. My book was selected for a famous celebrities book club. Overnight, it shot to the top of bestseller list. My face was on websites, in magazines. My phone wouldn't stop ringing with interview requests. That's when I finally called my parents. Mom, Dad, I need you to come to this address on Saturday. It's really important. Is everything okay? My mother sounded worried. I rarely asked them for anything. Everything's fine. Just be there at 2 p.m. And bring James and Emma too. That Saturday they showed up at the bookstore, confusion on their faces as they noticed the crowd, the cameras, the stacks of books with my face on them. Sophia, what is this? My father asked. I took a deep breath. This is my book launch. That's my novel. I'm an author now. Their expressions shifted from confusion to shock. My sister grabbed a copy of the book, flipping it over to see my photo and bio on the back. You wrote a book? How? I've been writing all my life, I said simply. You just never noticed. What happened next wasn't what I expected. My mother burst into tears. Not polite, quiet tears, but deep, body-shaking sobs that drew attention from nearby customers. My father stood frozen, staring at my name on the bookstore's event poster like he couldn't quite believe it was real. My brother was the first to speak. Sophia, this is incredible. Why didn't you tell us? The question made something inside me break open. Years of hurt came pouring out. Would you have cared? Any of you? When have you ever been interested in my life or my dreams? When have you ever put me first, even for a day? The silence that followed was deafening. My family looked at each other, then back at me, genuine confusion in their eyes. We always thought you were the strong one, my mother finally said, her voice small. The independent one who didn't need us hovering over you. James struggled in school before college, my father added. Emma had her health issues as a child. You were always so capable, so self-sufficient. That doesn't mean I didn't need your support, I said, my voice catching. That doesn't mean I didn't want to be seen. My sister stepped forward, my book clutched to her chest, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, Sophia. I never realized. I just thought you had it all together. The bookstore manager approached, telling me it was time to start the event. I nodded, then turned back to my family. I have to go. There are reserved seats for you in the front row. Stay if you want to. I walked to the podium, heart hammering in my chest. As I looked out at the crowd, I saw my family sitting exactly where I'd told them to, looking stunned but attentive. For once, all eyes were on me. I read a passage from my book, a scene where the main character finally confronts her family about their neglect. My voice trembled at first but grew stronger with each word. When I finished reading, the applause was thunderous. The Q&A session that followed was a blur, but one question stands out in my memory. A young woman asked, "What would you say to others who feel invisible in their own families?" I looked directly at my parents and siblings as I answered. I'd say that sometimes the people who love us fail us without realizing it. And sometimes we have to force them to see us, not out of malice but out of self-preservation. Your voice matters. Your story matters. Even if the people who should care the most haven't recognized that yet. After the event, as I signed books for a long line of readers, my family waited patiently to the side. When the last fan had gone, they approached my table tentatively, as if afraid I might send them away. My mother placed a copy of my book in front of me. "Will you sign it for us?" she asked softly. I looked up at them, really looked at them, and saw something I'd never seen before. Respect. Not just love or familial obligation but genuine respect. I signed the book. To my family, thank you for giving me a story to tell. Love, Sophia. That night they took me to dinner, not the other way around for once. They asked questions about my writing process, my inspiration, my plans for the next book. They listened without interrupting. My brother proposed a toast to the most talented Chin. My sister, hand on her pregnant belly, promised her child would grow up knowing what an amazing aunt they had. My revenge, if you could call it that, wasn't what I'd imagined. I hadn't wanted to hurt them, I just wanted them to see me. And now they did. The spotlight felt good, but what felt even better was the way they looked at me now. With new eyes, seeing me truly for perhaps the first time. In the months that followed, things changed. My parents called regularly, not just with family news but to ask specifically about my life. My brother sent me articles about writing and publishing that he thought might interest me. My sister asked me to help name her baby, because you have such a way with words. My second book came easier than the first. The hurt that had fueled The Invisible Daughter had transformed into something else. Not forgiveness exactly, but understanding. My family wasn't perfect. Neither was I. We had all played our parts in the dynamic that had caused me so much pain. At my second book launch, my entire extended family showed up. Aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't seen in years. My parents had made sure everyone knew about their daughter, the famous author. My mother had even started a book club specifically to read and discuss my novel. Sometimes I wonder if I should feel guilty for the way I forced their attention. But then I remember all those years of invisibility, all those achievements that went uncelebrated, all those times I swallowed my hurt to keep the peace. No, I don't feel guilty. I feel proud. Not just of my success, but of finally standing up for myself. Of refusing to be invisible any longer. My name is Sophia Chin. I'm a daughter, a sister, and now, finally, a person who matters in her own right. My voice is heard. My story is told. And my family, they finally see me not as who they always assumed I was, but as who I've actually become. The greatest revenge isn't making others feel small. It's growing so big they can't help but notice you. It's shining so bright they finally see what they've been missing all along. Thank you for listening to this story. If you have been inspired, please like this video and drop a comment on what you would have done if this was your challenge. And please do not forget to subscribe to this channel for daily revenge stories coming your way on this channel. Thank you.